Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good
Welcome
morning.
to the late authentic hustle.
We're authentically late today. Authentically late.
I was resetting my computer, resetting everything. Therefore, I have no headphones and my mic is not working. So here we are. Welcome, episode 36. If anybody's ever said they all go smoothly, I think probably 6 out of the 36 have gone real smooth. That's just how computers work, and we're all remotely away from each other. So thanks everybody for joining in. If you're joining in, episode 36, it's been quite a ride. I was talking to Vijay yesterday. He gave me a surprise call, which was very nice. And he was talking about how many episodes and how many he's done on Pathfinders. And I was talking to Kelly earlier just about how things change from week to week. And you know what? We're living in authenticity. And I think that's the number one rule that we have to live by and stick with. So tune in. We're live every week at 11 a.m., sometimes 12 minutes after 11. So we shortened it. We have a few minutes left here. So why don't we get into it?
Well, and sometimes LinkedIn is simply just not working. I'm not sure if the issue is with Riverside or LinkedIn, but I think once again, we're not live, and it's a super big frustration. I'm about to get upset about it. I've told myself I'm not getting upset today. I took on the don't get upset challenge. Good. My goodness, is it frustrating when things don't work?
Yeah.
So it's not just, it's just the day. It's clearly technical difficulties day, technical difficulties for Colin, technical difficulties for the show. But here's the thing. We always produce this show and it always does come out later in the day. So even if you missed the live because it didn't work for whatever reason, you will absolutely get us when we go live on YouTube, and it will be posted on LinkedIn. So you'll see it one way or another. But yes, once again, I think we're fighting live difficulties as well.
Yeah, we are. All right. Well, VJ, spin that wheel.
Okay, we are spinning. Okay, fine.
Yeah,
what are we doing?
Let's spin it. I think that's a good plan.
Let's go. That's why we have the spinner. We don't have to worry about what the topic is.
We'll have to pick a topic too that gives us 15 minutes.
Well, I think considering we're not live, as long as you're not all on time schedules, we can run it for the term.
Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah.
All right. 3 topics: mastering deals in tech mergers and partnerships.
No.
Success in entrepreneurship, just consistency or something else. Third topic: is your podcast niche clear? Is your podcast niche clear enough to attract loyal listeners? What are we picking today?
Well, whose turn is it?
I think it's you, Kelly. Is it you or?
Okay. Yeah, I think if I can read the room, the eyes correctly, I think most of us today would be leaning more towards the middle one. It's success in entrepreneurship, just consistency, or something else.
Yeah, I like that one.
I knew you did. I could see it in your eyes, Colin.
Right.
I could see the reflection of the middle choice right there in your pupils.
You can read it right off my pupils. Yeah.
No, I love this one. I love this one because I think so many people, look at entrepreneurship and just think that it's a roll of the dice. It's fluke. You either have the right idea at the right time or it works or it doesn't. And, to an extent, chance does obviously play a role. But I think that showing up consistently and performing consistently, being the other side to it in whatever you do over time makes you an expert in the space, right?
Yeah.
Business development, let's take it back to BD. Business development doesn't work if you only do it when you feel like it, right? The only way it works is if you're consistent with it. If you do it every single week, if you dedicate the time, whether it's 3 hours a day or whether it's just, 3 hours a week. But as long as you dedicate that time and you make sure that during that time you're doing focused work and you're doing it consistently, you start to tip the odds of success in your favor, right? It's when we're not consistent that we do start to hurt ourselves. And I think that consistency in almost anything can trump luck. You can make your own luck by being consistent. However, I also think that there's this magical universal flow called momentum, and I don't quite understand it, But I do also understand that when you have momentum, my gosh, it accelerates everything for you.
Yeah.
And it can work in your favor. And it can feel like luck at times. But one of the questions that I've asked myself is, do we create our own momentum?
Yeah, that's a good notion for sure. I think we do. Um, and part of that is if we work mindset into momentum, right? If we believe we can do it, if we wake up and we continue to do the same things consistently, kind of like the title of the show today, I think that's exactly what happens, right? It's almost practicing, right? It's like sports. The more we practice, the better we get, right? The more you putt, the more the ball goes in the hole. It's very, very simple, but I think it's very easy to get sidetracked and not follow that path and then wonder what the heck's going wrong, right?
Yeah.
Or why the momentum is not happening, right? Because you can have momentum. Momentum's tricky. It can go either way, right? It can go really good or it can go really bad.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really look at momentum that way. I think they look at it like, hey, we've got momentum, we're going in the right direction. But if you think about it, if you're not paying attention, if you're inattentive, if you're not following the principles, Kelly, you just sent me, a really good platform on, scheduling your week out and almost diarizing and that type of thing on how to do account management. If you're not doing that, I'll use the word religiously. Maybe people don't like that word, but if you're not doing it religiously, you're going to lose momentum and it's going to go backwards.
Yeah.
Right. Just as quick or quicker than it goes forwards, because you're not tiny wins going forward are better than anything going backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. VJ, what's your take on momentum?
No, I think 50% of the battle is already won if you that is consistency and if you show up, right? And I think that's you're winning the battle. You're winning already just by showing up and being consistent. And every time you make an effort, I mean, if you're not showing up, then you're not winning. Actually, I mean, you stop winning when you start quitting, right? So I think consistency plays a lot. And then look at the show itself, Authentic Hustle, 36 shows week after week. I mean, a few delays here and there, 5 minutes, doesn't matter. Actually, we have
showed a couple technical difficulties.
We won actually. I mean, regardless of few minutes, but we won already because we showed up. So that's the number one thing for success. I think.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And nothing happens as fast as you want it to. Especially in business, man. Almost everything that I've thought I could do in a certain period of time, that I figured I could do in a year, I've pretty much never hit it. I'll write my annual goals. I'm still a huge fan of them, but they're always so optimistic and ambitious that hitting those annual goals almost always takes longer than you imagine. But there's a funny statistic that also says we underestimate what we could do in 5 years. So most entrepreneurs are overestimating what they can do in a year, but we're underestimating what we can do in 5. And actually, what we can do in 5 is pretty friggin' amazing. But it's hard to see out that far.
I'll use, I like that you used 5 years just because we're closing in February will be 5-year anniversary for Hypervac acquisition. And my business partner, John, and I talk about it all the time is how could it possibly be 5 years already? And the reason we say that is because I guess when we started and some of the goals and, tentative plans we had would have happened a lot quicker. But then when we look back in retrospect, a lot of the stuff that we've done wasn't even on the cooker, if you will, right? We've far surpassed where things we didn't even knew were possible. But if you're using, time frames and that, it can be pretty unique and they can baffle you. But then again, they can startle you and you can say, we're not even close to where we thought we would be on some things.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And it really, if you look at, we're actually celebrating our 5th year of capital business development this year too, just in a couple months. And man, none of this was on the cards, right? The BDP wasn't on the cards. I didn't even know what the heck I offered for a service. I just knew I was getting out there and I was going to try something and see what stuck, see what worked for me. And it's the iterations that have happened in that time, the contracts I've gotten in that time, the things I've learned in that time, could have never imagined what I could have done in 5 years or that we'd be where we are 5 years later. But once again, I still overestimate everything that I can do in a year and think that I can do a million things, and I just can't. It takes longer than I like.
Yeah. I mean, like, takes me back to memory lane in 2018 when we first came to Canada. I mean, like, we came in July.
Yeah.
August 30th is when we registered Zadwell, actually. I mean, that time it was a number company. I didn't even have a name for it. And today I think we are in the 5th generation of business cards or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I never thought any of that. Like, initially, I mean, it took its own shape. So, yeah, I mean, super excited about it. One other thing I want to share about this whole consistency is also about like how the perception actually. I mean, if you don't believe in your journey yourself, right, then how will others believe in your vision and your journey?
Yeah.
So I think by showing up and being consistent, I think that's how you create a belief first for you. Then once you start believing in your mission and your vision, then others will also see that over a period of time and start buying your vision and your product maybe. So I felt it many times. So I just want to share that.
Well, it's so interesting because I did a show yesterday on trust, and the further that I went down the trust rabbit hole is like, what is trust? Why is it such like an ingrained thing? And what are the pieces of it that are required for trust to happen? I was pretty surprised because one of the things that came up is that trust is a fundamental requirement of society. All society. If you don't have trust, society literally falls apart. You have to be able to trust that the legal system is going to look after you, that police are going to help you and not rob you, that when you do a deal, that somebody's not going to necessarily back out on it. You're going to lose your house or whatever, right? Like, trust is literally ingrained into the fabric of human society. And if you don't have trust, you don't have society. And the funny thing is that one of the things that is most important for trust to happen is for you to show up consistently, no matter how you show up, right? You can't be like late one day and early the next, and late one day and early the next. People hate that. Like, you can't trust that, right? The key thing that makes trust happen is consistency, is showing up the same way, or as same as, like, within a baseline, as same as possible, as often as possible, to build trust with people. And so consistency is a requirement of trust, period.
Yeah, that's true. And I really like that. It all comes down to our belief systems, right? What we believe will happen, what people will believe in us, right? That keyword. And I was talking to Kelly earlier too about the podcast this morning, as I listened to it, and it really resonated, like, just on a relationship with customers or anybody we're talking to. If they do not trust us, they're not going to, it comes down to belief. They're not going to believe anything we say.
Yeah.
And I was telling Kelly that I've just been battling a headache since Saturday for some reason, and Kelly identified as a doctor that he is. It's probably a seasonal thing, but I believe him because I trust him. But what happened was, and it's just a little story. My dog needed to go out at 1 a.m. or whatever, and so then I was up. I've literally been up since then. Right. I think I slept an hour since then. But what I didn't do was let it it couldn't change my day. I knew what I had to do today. I still got up. The only thing I didn't do, I usually go to the gym for 5 a.m. I did not go this morning, just because of the headache, but the rest of it didn't change. My day, my business, everything I did. I have my 9 o'clock call with Kelly. None of that changed because of the circumstances. And I think that's the consistency. We continue to go on. If I let those little things, which it's a little thing, right? If I let that set me back, it's going to snowball the opposite way, right? And when one thing I've been learning more and more recently in the entrepreneur world is, I am my own payroll, right? That's probably the scary part of entrepreneurship. There is no paycheck if I'm not putting in the work. Right. I mean, we've set it up pretty well. I guess there would be. It's not that crazy, but in reality, if I don't show up every day for the team that we've employed, for everybody that's here, just because, I had to slip up, something didn't quite go right, that consistency is just going to be broken completely. And we also we are a model for the people that are around us as well. Right. So they may know the circumstance. Maybe I come in and I I don't want to, but I complain saying I've had a headache for 5 days. All that's going to do is model that forward, right? Then the next person's going to do that. So I have to be very conscious that I don't do that. And I stay consistent with, I'm a happy guy, right? Regardless.
Yeah.
I'm still having a good day. My computer is not working. My microphone wasn't working. And, but who cares, right? That doesn't change the fact that we have the podcast. That doesn't change what's going to happen this afternoon. The only thing that changes is my mind, right?
Yeah.
My mindset and how I'm going to look forward to it.
Yeah. And I think too, like if you look at consistency, you can be consistently crappy too. Right. So I think it's important.
Absolutely.
I think it's important that we like preface that like consistency on its own doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. You have to be consistently putting in good habits, consistently utilizing good process, things that work for you, or consistently learning on how to implement a better process or what's next for your organization, right? Consistency on its own can be consistently bad.
Yeah.
Consistency needs to be thought of in a way of, I need to make sure that if I'm being consistent, that I'm being consistent in the right ways as well. And once again, change is hard. Like if you're implementing new processes, if you're learning new things, if you're just starting your business for the first time, you have so much to learn and you're going to make mistakes. And that is completely okay. All three of us still make mistakes all the time, but we learn from each one of them and we try not to make that same mistake twice, right? Every mistake is simply a lesson to learn. And if you learn the lesson and you don't make it again, over time, you're making a lot less mistakes and you're doing a lot more of the right things consistently.
Yeah, good point.
One other thing, that keeps coming up in conversations and in Pathfinders or elsewhere is like, if you're not committing enough mistakes, that means you're not trying hard enough. So I would also encourage people to not be afraid of like not trying and be courageous to go try out more. Mistakes will happen. None of us, all three of us here, I'm sure like we have made enough mistakes. And I think that kind of like teaches us over time, okay, fine, what works and what doesn't work. Unless you try it, of course, consistency plays a big part in it. And unless you try and be courageous enough to go try, learn from those mistakes, I think that takes you forward. The momentum is actually trying more and doing more mistakes, actually. Yeah. So, any single thing, whether it's software or you're creating a chair or hardware, you learn through doing by committing more mistakes, actually. So it's actually a good thing, but I just want people to embrace the failure as much as they embrace success, actually, because everyone sees the limelight, the spotlight, the success, but they don't see all the pain and the failures that go behind on the other days, right? So
that's right. It's like when you see somebody speaking to their expertise on stage, what you're seeing is probably 15 years of repeated failure to get to that point. Right? You don't, like you said, you're not seeing all of the crappy moments where the deal went south or when you missed that big meeting or when, who knows, something happened in your family and it had to take priority over work and it put a big monkey wrench into everything, right? Almost every entrepreneur that I've interviewed has an incredible story. And none of those stories were, it went amazing and then got more amazing and then continued to get amazing until I reached the top, right? None of those stories go like that. Not one of them.
I was listening to this. I was listening to a podcast, and I'll have to find it and send it to you guys. There was this young singer. I guess he was a singer, and he was auditioning and doing this stuff. Anyway, in the audience was Celine Dion's manager, right? Anyway, so after the show, he said to him, "Hey, we want you to come and act as a backup singer and do this stuff." And he said, how can this be? Like, I'm just at this audition. This can't be real. And so the next day the guy phoned him and said, you need to be here at 2 p.m. on Sunday. And he said, I can't do it. He says, I didn't ask you if you can or cannot do it. I said, be there at 2 p.m. And the guy said, why, I think I'm going to fail. And he goes, I just listened to you sing. Anyway, and so he showed up at 2:00. He ended up being on stage, traveling with her for years.
Wow.
Right. And he talks about how that never once he felt confident enough to go do it. but he continued practicing. The consistency was there. He was on Oprah, he was on all these shows, but he always in his mind, and when Vijay talked about, he failed forward, right?
Yeah.
He was failing forward. Like he said, it was, to him, it was not always perfect, but the audience never knew what he was going through.
Yes.
Right? And he said he still couldn't figure out to this day, outside of his dad telling me he's the greatest guy ever, right? He never thought that.
Yeah.
Right. So his whole purpose of the talk was to say, just keep going, right? Gain that momentum, continue to move on. You don't see, or we don't see what an impact we're making. Or Kelly, like, I'll use the show, not the show, the podcast, right? Tomorrow you'll find out the results. We've already found out the results. You're 5 years in, and you're in the top handful of podcasts in North America. That's a result in itself, right? That's not failing. That's consistency, consistently doing 2 podcasts a week.
Yeah.
And having 2 kids and everything else that goes on. That consistency is what gives you that win. That consistency is what rolls the ball forward, not backwards.
Yeah.
So
let me correct you. 5 kids.
Well, no, sorry. Yeah. 5 kids. 2. What I meant by that was 2
I
in
know.
the last while.
I know, 2 in the last couple of years. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? You've got 2 babies. Like,
yeah, man. I don't know, but you know what? Let's talk about that. Let's talk about Signal Awards, because I put out a show talking about letting go, and I'm like the last person to let go, man. I talked about it, and I mentioned that, like, it's a part of the process that, like, we have to at some point let go. But for me, it's like, okay, like, we can get like 1 more vote. We can reach out to 1 more people. We can send 1 more email. Like, I'm of that process. I hate relinquishing control. And I know at some point we have no choice, but at the same time, I do think that it's that, like, tenacity that has forced me on a certain level to keep showing up for 2 shows a week, come hell or high water. There's been a lot of days that I didn't want to record that, like I said, last night, let's use last night as an example. These last couple of weeks have been wild, great wild, but wild. And I was like, last week, I was very clear. I was like, I think I've hit like my capacity of what I can do as a human, as an entrepreneur. Like, I'm doing everything. I missed a really big meeting. I had to eat humble pie and apologize because I was literally prepping for a speech and missed like one of the biggest client meetings that I needed to hit for my client, and like owed them an apology, owed their potential client an apology. Like, it was a week of humble pie. Let's just call it what it was. And I was going into this week just feeling like, let's just get to the end of that week. Let's get to this one. And even yesterday, like, just between my day and everything I had to do, and like, I get to do, I shouldn't say have to do, I get to do. It's a privilege that I get to do what I do.
Yeah.
But I said to you last night, dude, I went to bed at 11 o'clock and I stopped working at 10:30 because that's what it took to put the show out. That's what it took yesterday to put the show out. And that it's not always great, but I made a commitment, and my commitment is my show comes out twice a week, come hell or high water, and we've never had to repeat a show.
I got a question for you then? It's almost maybe it's rhetorical or hypothetical. So if you worked for me, would the grind be the same? Would you have the same push? Like, say you were an employee working for me and you had to get this out for the next morning. How do you think mentally that would change things?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think even as an employee, I still worked hard. I definitely work harder as an entrepreneur for the same reason that you said, I don't eat if I don't. But for me too, like, I think with my work today, I recognize that it's about legacy. It's about, how do you want to be known in the world? Do you want people to trust you? Do you want people to see you in a good light? Do you want people to recognize that it takes hard work, that you are a hard worker, that your word is your bond, right? That's just what it takes. You got to show up consistently in every way.
Well, you said it actually in the podcast this morning that your dad always said that to you, right? Is your word is
my word is my bond. Yeah.
And that means a lot. And I think people say, hey, I still go by a handshake, right? I think there is a lot of that out there. But I think it's easier than ever now to pull away from that handshake.
Yeah.
Right. I think that there's a million scapegoats people can use. It doesn't make it right, but I think it's easier than it used to be. Because I still believe in a handshake too, right? If I tell somebody something, and part of that, iteration for me is saying no, which we've talked about before, is if I'm gonna shake on it, right? I have to know that in the future I can't bite off more than I can chew elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because I made that deal.
You're
right?
committed
My word is
elsewhere.
my bond, and I'm
Yeah.
committed. And it's becoming harder and harder to commit to certain things when you get in that position, right?
But is that not the right? But is that not the way it's supposed to be? Like
100%.
Right? Like if you're committed, if you're working with, let's call it 10 clients, and that's what you can commit to, you committing to an 11th is wrong.
That's right. That's right. Well, here's the thing. Let's say that 11th client was going to be the biggest client you've ever had, right? And in your eyes, that's the biggest opportunity, and you took it on and you let the 10 down that are underneath that, and you wouldn't even give it your all for the 11th, right?
Yeah. You can't.
You're better.
It's not even that you could, it's not even that you wouldn't, it's that you don't have capacity to.
You don't have the capacity, so you're going to lose on 11, not just on the one.
Not just, no kidding. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Know your time, right? Like, I think that was the thing that surprised me the most as an entrepreneur, is especially as the years went by, and I just recognized that, like, I like to say yes to things. I know you do too, Colin. We take on a lot. Like, the reality is we do 2 shows here between my show and this show. VJ, you do another show. We run a business. We operate clients. I run Catalyst Club. Like, I love doing stuff. I really do. But there does come a point at which I have to decide what is the most valuable use case of my time for not just me today, but me tomorrow.
Well, and this is almost singular because we're speaking in the entrepreneur world, because it would be very easy for people to say, well, just delegate that out. This is one circumstance where Kelly, you can't delegate.
I can't delegate the podcast. No.
And this is Colin from the BDP. No, it doesn't work that way, right? Or Pathfinder, that type of thing. So to take on one more and one more and one more, it just can't happen, right? And you have to be back to being consistent in what you're consistent with.
Yeah. You do make your own luck. You do make your own luck, and you can absolutely make your own momentum. But yes, consistency, no matter what you do, and good consistency. Once again, I really need to reiterate, you can do consistently the wrong thing. So you have to be doing consistently the right things. But the more often that you can consistently do the right things, the more likely your chance of success. And yes, luck does play a role. Yes, timing does play a role. However, you can definitely make up for bad timing or bad luck by having good consistency.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, one conversation that recently I had with an artist, like Giselle, she's a Canadian artist. I met with her. I mean, something that, like, I mean, how do we know what is right? How to make the decisions day after day? And I mean, there are a million books out there saying a million different things. There's so many valuable things that we can learn. But at the end of the day, I think somewhere along the way, you kind of know what is right for you, for anyone listening, or for us speaking, right? So you kind of find out, actually, to trust your gut, to trust your intuition. So over a period of time, I mean, you know what works and what doesn't work. All decisions may not be the right decision, but at the same time, learn to trusting your gut is actually, it needs some courage, but I think people have to start looking into trusting their own decisions better than, okay, fine. Okay, Robin Sharma said it. Like, okay, fine. The Naval Ravikant said it. No, but like, start trusting your own gut and your own intuition. That kind of knows where your heart goes and where you want to go. Right. So I just wanted to reiterate that. Yeah,
that's good.
Amazing. Well, I think that wraps up today's hustle, guys. We got there.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for consistently showing up.
Yeah. Sorry, our lives don't.
my word is my bond. I will be using another laptop next week.
Okay.
This one has failed me. So we'll have better sound and everything else next week. But I guess I can wrap it up. Thanks, guys, for joining in again. I really appreciate it. And listeners out there, one day we will be live. We love the live show. We are live and we are present.
One day.
you're just not hearing it right now.
That's
so
right.
when you do, it'll be impactful, and we appreciate you. And AH Live, we're on the internet. We're everywhere. We're just waiting to be found.
Yep. Tell people, please.
So thanks, hustlers. And until next week, out.
Later, hustlers.
Later.
Later. Oh my goodness.